So you have selected for me to read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, which is a bold choice on your part since I am not a sci-fi fan and I've only ever read one book by Brandon Sanderson. That being said, I just read the prologue for this book and I'm already so impressed. I just finished Stalking Jack the Ripper and this book could not be more different just from the start. In the prologue, we've already found out a little bit of the history of this world in a way that was not info dumpy at all. Felt totally organic and really set up the journey that our character is going to go on. So Spensa and her father are journeying to the surface of this planet that they live on. Everybody lives underground on this planet and no one can gather in large groups because the enemy aliens, I guess, or I don't know if they're aliens or humans, but these people called the Krell essentially can sense humans if they are in large groups. So everybody lives in these underground caverns very spread out apart from each other. Since everybody's been settled on this planet for at least 70 years or so, they have been able to manufacture basically fighter jets so they can fight their enemies if their enemies ever come into their planet. The planet that they have crash landed on 70 years ago, this planet with underground caves and stuff, is surrounded by layers of detritus. The planet is called detritus and it's also just like, this is the planet and then there's like rings around it of all kinds of different matter, and so you can't really see the stars in between the spaces of the like junk floating around the planet. But I don't know, just I've already learned so much in the prologue of this book and I'm already super interested. The prologue ends basically with Spensa's father having to go and defend against an alien attack, and his fighter jet is basically shot down by his own forces because he was trying to abandon his post or abandon his people. So I feel like Spensa's definitely gonna have a chip on her shoulder because of what her father did, because you could tell just from the brief introduction we got, I think it was 12 pages, we can tell that she really looked up to her dad. So I'm curious to see how that kind of shapes her. If she doesn't believe that her father deserted, or if she does believe that and feels like she has something to prove. I'll be interested to see what's going on. I'm surprised at how much I'm already enjoying this, only having read the prologue, because I'm not a huge sci-fi fan most of the time, but the idea of like fighting jets is kind of sexy to me. I don't know, I'm interested to see kind of what unfolds in this book. I think this is the longest book I'm reading for this game, so that'll be a real treat, but I don't think that these 510 pages are going to be much of a slog to get through because I'm already enjoying this book. So I am gonna just update you guys at my leisure. It seems like this is going to be a kind of dense book with world building and adventure. I don't want to spoil too much, but I do want to update you guys like throughout the reading experience as my feelings unfold, so I will be doing that. It's not just going to be like a middle and kind of summary. Not that anyone cares. I'll update you guys in a second. All right, so perhaps in the shock of the century, I mean I'm only 100 pages into this book. I think this might be my favorite book that I'm reading for this whole thing, and I don't even like sci-fi, or at least I thought I didn't. Basically, Spensa has found a way into being a pilot, although a lot of people were trying to band against her. A lot of people in the government were basically not wanting to allow her to like take the test to become a pilot, and even though she took the test, she was denied placement. But the guy who's in charge of training them was actually the like partner to her dad, I guess, like they were flight partners, so she was able to get a spot, but she's still being kind of disrespected, isn't allowed to sleep in the like pilot's quarters or anything, so she's having to find ways around that to train the best that she can. I think what really has solidified this as a book that I really fucking like is the fight sequence that happened. These kids are in training, it's their first day of training, they end up having to actually go and fight, which was insane to me. They were supposed to just be backup and they ended up having to fight, which was so fucking cool. And I'm really liking the dynamics between Spensa and then some of the other people in her flight class. The only thing so far that I'm not loving is Spensa's character as a whole. I'm starting to like her more as time progresses because she is very passionate and definitely knows what she wants and is really willing to work hard for it, but she is a little bit naive, and I think she reads as like a slightly younger character than 17, which is I think the age she's supposed to be in this book. Just some of her behaviors and some of her like gung-ho-ness, it's like she doesn't seem to understand politics, she doesn't seem to understand why she isn't given a fair chance. And while things obviously aren't completely fair, I mean, if you've been treated a certain way your whole life, I don't know how you can still be appalled at it. I think I wish she had just been a slightly more bitter character almost at her treatment, rather than just like angry and willing to fight people. It doesn't really read as mature 17-year-old character. I know all 17-year-olds aren't mature, but I just wish that there would have been a little bit more nuance in her character rather than just like, I'm gonna be a fighter pilot and I'm gonna kick your ass. That's kind of the vibe that I was getting from her. Now that she's kind of seeing that she has to play politics a little bit more, she's becoming a little bit more bearable. but the action of this book is just, it's getting me on the edge of my seat. I have not felt this way reading a book in a really long time, and I should have shut my camera off whenever the AC shut on, but you know what? I had to tell you how much I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna keep reading. I think I'm gonna try to get to page 250 tonight, and then I need to take a shower because this is really fucking rough. So, okay, so I'm 50% into Skyward. I'm still fucking loving it. It's so good. Seriously, who thought I would like a sci-fi? Who thought I would like a sci-fi for this video? Who thought sci-fi would be my favorite book for this video? I don't know. I'm shaken to my core. Things that have happened since I last talked to you. There is an AI spaceship that our girl Spensa has come across. She basically didn't want to have to like travel back to her home between lessons, essentially, because she lives like a few hours away from the like pilot school or whatever. So she decided she's gonna live in a cave by herself, and she found an abandoned spaceship in a cave that she's living in, and her best friend, who kind of dropped out of flight school, has decided to help her restore this spaceship, and it has a mind of its own, and oh my god, it's so fucking funny. And it's like kind of following her, like the AI can follow her wherever she's at. So whenever she's like actually in battle, like up in a fighter jet, she gets Mbot, the name of the AI, in her head talking to her. Love a good AI pal. I'm not usually into like sidekicks or like little animal friends that are like sentient and like can speak. I'm not able to articulate well, but like whenever I was reading Crescent City, I didn't give a fuck about that little like sprite who died, whatever, didn't care about her. But I do like some good AI action, so I am pleased. I'm also enjoying the way the story is going, because the fighters as a whole are trying to fight against the Krell, which are these like aliens from another planet, but we know nothing about the Krell. They've never been captured, and Spensa's getting kind of suspicious. Not even suspicious, but she's wondering like who the Krell are. And Mbot has been raising some questions and kind of asking Spensa like, do you know anything about the Krell? Like, do you know why you're fighting? And I think that's making her kind of suspicious, because like I said, from the beginning she's been very gung-ho and wants to, you know, follow in her father's footsteps, and she still wants to do that now, but she wants to find out what happened to him, if he really was a deserter, and also figure out what these aliens are and like what their motives are. And Mbot's kind of helping her figure out what the motives are. Oh, they're not actually trying to fight you, they're trying to defend like a big ship from you guys. So I'm not doing a good job describing this, I don't think, but it's so good. I guess I'm a little space bitch. I don't know. If anyone wants to make me a commemorative plaque or like an award and tweet it at me, feel free. I'm gonna go wash my hair because I'm disgusting. I did get to page 250, which I'm pleased with. I don't think I've really, like I said, talked to you guys about how I'm actually doing this experiment, but I am reading all 10 of these books in a week, so I have to read 250 pages of this and then 2 more books to be done with this. So I'm feeling good, spirits are high, but I need a shower and go to sleep. All right, sorry for the weird change in lighting. It's Saturday, it's like 2 p.m, but it is dark as fuck outside, so I had to get my ring light out. So again, sorry if it looks a little different. I have finished Skyward. I was going to update you guys prior to finishing, but I just felt compelled to keep reading and not update you because it was just so good. It was so good. Let me try to collect myself to try to explain this book, how I feel about it, etc. I feel like what it's imperative for you to know is that this is a 5-star book for me, and it's going to be on my favorites list of 2020. I don't know why I enjoyed this so much, and it's going to be so hard to try to articulate what about this book really spoke to me, but I fucking loved this. I did cry at some points because I was just like overcome with emotion on how much I love this book, and also there were just like emotionally impactful moments when reading, but holy shit, this was so good. I did not expect it. If you would have asked me what one book I would have liked from this journey, I would not have picked this one. This is definitely not what I would have picked, but holy shit, so good. Definitely my favorite of all of the books that I've read. I only have 2 more books left to read after this, and I don't think they're gonna come anywhere close. But anyway, let me stop rambling and try to kind of articulate my thoughts and feelings. This was such a well-crafted story. That's something that I really recognize and appreciate with Brandon Sanderson's writing. I haven't read too many things by him. I have read Mistborn. I am currently reading The Way of Kings for a different video I'm doing. This book is no exception, even though it is YA. It really still has the typical Brandon Sanderson feel to it. From the introduction, from the prologue, I could tell that this was going to be just so tightly woven and that the story wouldn't lag in any places. I was never bored. I never wanted to put this book down. There was never a point where it was slow or uninteresting, and I think the character arc of Spensa from the beginning to the end of the book was pretty dramatic, but in a way that made sense given the things she was going through. So I was just so impressed by his ability to craft both plot, the world in such a seamless way without info dumping, and again the characterization of Spensa. It was just incredible, man. So good. I think with a story that is this well done, it's impossible for me to dislike any aspect of it. Even if it is science fiction, even if I don't really like space stories, this just worked for me so well, and it made me think like, oh fuck, like it would be so cool to be in space, like being a fighter pilot in space. If I'm starting to think like that, this obviously was a really great book, so I would highly recommend this. Even if you don't like science fiction, please pick this book up. It was so good. So glad to have read it. I'm glad that my dumbass already purchased the sequel. Like I had it on my shelves anyway, and when this whole like journey, this whole video journey is over, probably gonna pick up Starsight because Skyward was so good. I don't want to ramble too much longer. I think the one thing that I would say, my only complaint, I guess you could say, is that Spensa as a character at the very beginning is a little bit irritating, a little bit over the top, and maybe a little bit of a caricature of someone who's like bloodthirsty and ready for war, but she does develop over the course of the story. So if you go into this not liking her, I would say carry on, because the story is really awesome. But now you guys can select my final book for this journey. It'll be 10 books read for this experiment. I'm honestly like astounded at my ability to get these done in such a short period of time. It's Saturday, so I have to read 2 books today, and then I'm done. I'm free, and you guys can finally watch this experiment, so that'll be fun. So the 2 books that you guys can pick for me to read are going to be contemporaries. I am riding the high of that science fiction wave, but I had these 2 books on my list, and they're just like what we're gonna have to read because they're the last 2 things for this video. So the first is Solitaire by Alice Oseman. This is a story about a girl named Tori, her family, her mental health, and just her time in high school. It's set in England. Alice Oseman's first book, and I've heard very mixed things about this. I feel like most people who like Alice Oseman's work consider this to be her weakest novel, which makes sense because she wrote this when she was only 17. And then our other option is one that's been on my shelves for a really long time that I think might have an impact, might be a really good book for me to read. It's Starfish by Kemi Dawn Bowman. I don't know a ton about this book other than it deals with mother-daughter relationships. I believe our main character's parents are divorced, and her father's Japanese, her mom's white, I think, and her mom is like kind of racist, low-key. So that's sort of what this book is about, sort of this girl dealing with her relationship with her mother. I think her uncle also comes to live with her, and he was abusive. I don't know if it's towards our main character or someone else in her family, but these both seem like they're gonna be kind of like hard-hitting contemporaries. So I'm gonna leave the end screen up, and you guys can pick which one you want to hear more about, which you think that I'm going to like more.